Okay, and that is the court's jurisdiction falls under state statute. However, when you're filing a bankruptcy case, okay, the jurisdiction is bankruptcy. If you're in a civil matter, foreign sovereign immunity, or just a couple, there are 3 pages in Black's Law that define jurisdiction and types of jurisdiction. So, like I said, people earlier, if you can afford $50 or $60, whatever these little books cost, get the 5th edition of this book. That is the best book.
Are they still in print?
They're still in print.
And it's behooved to us to know the jurisdiction, because if we take it to a court without jurisdiction, it has no standing.
Basically. So you have to understand that it is your responsibility as plaintiff. If you are suing someone, you have to establish the jurisdiction of the court. In other words, it's a civil matter. You know, whatever. If it's criminal, it's, you know, your jurisdiction goes. They're all defined. They're all defined in here, so you need to find the right one.
What's the bankruptcy?
Bankruptcy is the guy just doesn't have the money to pay anything, and his creditors on his case. You go to bankruptcy court.
And that's a federal
bankruptcy court. So we were checking on one other thing too, the voucher.
Yeah, you were saying how...
Okay, when the IRS sends you a lawful bill, and make sure, people, it's lawful. And another thing you want to do is start using your name as follows. Right? And do this to all your financial documents. Write your first name, middle name, upper lowercase, semicolon, and then your last name. And trust me, things will change.
What does that mean?
It means you are not a corporation. You're a sovereign.
Why the semicolon?
It separates your first name from your last name. If you're a corporation, you have to have 2 names.
If you're a corporation, you have to have 2 names?
You have to have 2 names. Your person is a corporation, remember? Supposedly.
If you put a semicolon, doesn't that mean 2 names? I don't know what a semicolon means, I guess.
This works.
Okay.
This works. And so people need to understand that to avoid being frauded, you need to put your first and middle name fully printed out or written out,
and upper and
followed
lowercase,
by a semicolon, upper lowercase, all of it, and then your last name. So you are John Dwayne semicolon Smith Robert Albert semicolon Jones, whatever, upper lowercase. Do not ever. You never sign your name all uppercase, even if your name's in upper lower or in all uppercase. How do you do that? How do you do that, people? You see the fraud by trickery? It's their game. It's their con. That's why they call it Congress. Okay?
Progressing through the con.
You got that right.
And
the sun's getting bright.
Yeah. Should we move the...
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
I enjoy the heat.
Yeah.
It's a little chilly out here today.
Yeah. So they present you with a bill, and they
have to present you with a voucher.
Okay, what's a
voucher? A voucher is a method of payment. Under bankruptcy law, we have no currency with any value. So.
What do you mean under bankruptcy law we have no currency of value?
We have no currency. Period, people. We have absolutely no currency.
What do you mean by under bankruptcy law?
Well, in 1933, this nation went bankrupt. Okay? So, when it went bankrupt, when the government sends you a bill, they have to provide you a method of payment.
Because we have no money.
Because we have no money. So if the IRS is sending you a IRS bill, they have to provide you a voucher to pay it.
But we get paid on our job and we can do work.
We don't get
we get promissory notes. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
I mean, this gets really
let me get into some law here, and that question will be answered.
Okay. Got about 18 minutes.
Okay. Since the IRS cannot attach, well, we already covered that one. The IRS are double dipping. They have no lawful bill, since I never gave them permission to make out a tax statement for me. They are using my name without written permission. That's identity theft. They are ignoring lawful rulings of the United States Supreme Court, as well as lower court case rulings in their activity. In other words, whatever the court says, the IRS just says, screw you, court. We'll do what we want to do. We don't have to take people to court, blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm sorry. This is the United States, and the last I knew, there were things called due process laws. Okay? I've never been charged with a crime. I've never had a hearing, and I've never had a day in court. And you people are guaranteeing my accounts. That's fraud, people. That's violation of due process. And you tell me why the Department of Justice, Hancock County authorities, aren't filing the criminal charges I filed with them on 95 forms, SF 95 forms, and also witness a statement. We have criminal activity in this country because law enforcement will not enforce the laws of this nation. I'm an American citizen. I have the right to file a criminal complaint against criminals. The IRS are criminals. They're non-government agencies that are going around taking people's money under false and fraudulent pretense. That's mail fraud. That's fraud in the inducement. That's civil fraud. That's civil RICO. Because when you people get asked a question, and it gets too hard for you to answer, you bounce the person over to your next agency, don't you? And it continues. You go from Kansas City to Texas to Utah to Pennsylvania, back to California, back over to Pennsylvania, back to Kansas City. That's what you've done with me for the last 5 years. And you still haven't answered the questions. And yet, according to law, you can take no action against anyone until all the questions a person has asked you is answered. You violate your own code. You're criminals. And I'm not going to shut up until the whole world knows you're a criminal.
Does the IRS's operating expenses paid by us? Do we pay for their operations and they pocket the money that they pick up with our tax dollars?
Here's the thing.
I mean, that's another form of double dipping.
Congress cannot tell me, the legislative act of Congress that created the IRS as a government agency, the U.S. Department of Treasury, the bidding procedure where they became a contractor or a subcontractor. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if the Congress of the United States had issued a bidding procedure, it was in violation of state rights and code. They created a monopoly in the IRS.